Are your taxes worrying you? Have you got amounts that haven't been disclosed to SARS and you don't really know what to do with them? And you're frightened of reprisals if you go to SARS, but you're even more frightened if they catch you. Well, maybe your opportunity is contained in the Voluntary Disclosure Program, or the VDP as we call it in the tax trade. It's running over the next year. And don't say you weren't warned. This is a great opportunity, but it expires on the 31st of October 2011. In his first budget speech, Minister of Finance Prof Gordhan announced the VDP program on 17 February 2010. It's open for 1 year from the 1st of November 2010 to the 31st of October 2011. It is an opportunity for people who have problems with their tax and exchange control matters to sort them out. And through this opportunity, they tell us the usual thing, that it's about broadening taxpayer compliance and widening tax base and getting everybody a chance to sort themselves out. But what they're not telling us is what is the real intention behind this thing. And the real intention is conveyed in new other legislation outside of the VDP program. Start off with the fact that Section 89 Quat of the Act has been repealed. This means that interest will now be charged on all underpayments of provisional tax. Then add additional tax considerations and the fact that we are going to get the new Tax Administration Act later this year or next year. This means that substantially higher penalties will be charged once this program has seen its end and the new legislation has come into being. So don't judge your tax offences by the law as it stands today. It's going to get much tougher. What happens with those who have contravened the acts and choose not to apply? And the answer with that is, well, you run the gauntlet, and if your tax or exchange control matters are found out, SARS can impose various sanctions which are going to get a lot tougher, and so can exchange control. The bottom line is that from next year, tax evasion will be treated on a basis of no quarter asked or given. Then comes the question, if you have previously made a disclosure in the 2003-4 amnesty, can you now apply again? And the answer to that is yes. This is a different program and your history will not be taken into account. The Tax Act is going to work on the basis that if you get to SARS before they get to you, then you will be all right. Are the two applications dependent on each other? And the answer is no, they're not. But there are matters regarding the enforcement of the VDP program, which means that they're going to run off the same legislation and that SARS and exchange control can talk to each other. Then what happens with advisors and practitioners? What happens if somebody consults pursuant to an application and then doesn't apply? And they've taken care of that. They've said the obligation to report suspicious or unusual transactions does not arise where clients are assisted in regularizing their affairs through the VDP. And they've even put a public compliance communication out there to help you with that one. Will SARS and FinServ share information? And the answer to that is yes, but don't let it put you off. That's the world that we live in today. Okay, what is a tax default? A tax default means that you have submitted inaccurate or incomplete information to the Commissioner, or you failed to submit information, or that the assumptions presented about one's tax liability were such that it resulted in you being assessed for the incorrect amount of tax or a tax refund being made by the Commissioner. Who can apply? They've left the door wide open there for everybody to apply. What types of tax are covered? These are important. Naturally, income tax is in the bag. But also you get PAYE and VAT, and those are the very important ones to look at, because there the vendor is in a position that they have stolen money if they are underdeclared to SARS, and that can lead to criminal offences in years to come. Then you've got all the other taxes are listed in the groups down below, and they also qualify. Can parties who are currently being audited or investigated or are under enforcement action, can they now come forward to SARS and say we're applying? And they haven't closed the door on this. SARS may accept their applications if their default would not have been detected during the course of an audit or investigation, i.e. you've come clean before SARS has found you. And in these cases, the penalties will be waived, but only half the interest charge will be waived. What are the minimum requirements to qualify for the VDP program? You must send in an application which very importantly shows that you have made complete disclosure in all material respects about what has gone wrong, and that SARS was not aware of your default as of 17 February 2010, and that a penalty or additional tax would have been imposed had SARS discovered the default in the normal course of business, and that the application will not result in a refund from the Commissioner. What relief is offered? Well, if SARS accepts your VDP application, all penalties relating to underdeclaration will be waived. All interest charges will be waived unless you were already under investigation, in which case only 50% will be waived. Additional tax, SARS will not impose additional tax charges, and criminal prosecution will also be waived, so there will be no embarrassment, etc. What happens if you don't really trust the system and you want to make an anonymous application? Well, they've even provided for that. They've said an application who first wishes to obtain an indication of the possible relief may submit an application that does not reveal the identifying information. Great. But SARS can then issue a non-binding opinion only, indicating whether or not this would qualify for relief. The non-binding opinion is conditional upon the factual disclosure made and can only be used as a guideline. It doesn't give a complete approval. So there you have it. It's a very simple process. Tell the story and you pay back the tax and the rest you go free on. That's a far better outcome than penalties, interest and criminal offences. You'll probably pay 1/3 of the amount that you would pay if you were caught. How do you go about it? Well, download the next video from YouTube and you'll see the simple forms and disclosures that you'll have to make.